Export to cloud. Lonnie, thanks you and the team for joining us. As I mentioned, this is, I believe, your third year being on before the ATMIA show. Maybe we start with ATMIA and what it means and what you guys do. But for the people that don't know that, why don't you share us a little bit about ATMIA and the history of the organization?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks a lot, Todd. And thanks to everyone for joining today. We always enjoy this. As Todd mentioned, I joined ATMIA. June will be 4 years already, which blows me away how fast time has traveled. But 3 years is when I think you and Britta were conversing on the ATM Business Startup Group. And we said, we should join and talk about the conference. And you were nice enough to invite us on, and we've been doing it ever since. Thank you for that. ATMIA, we're getting ready to celebrate, I think, our 28th or 29th year as the industry education advocate for the ATM industry and for the payment choice industry, if you think about it. At the end of the day, the ATM is continuing to evolve. And you were at the ARCI show. John and I were at the ARCI show. We saw each other at NAC. Hopefully, many of you will be at ATMIA in Texas and Arlington in February. And we're seeing the whole evolution of self-service and how we continue to move an industry forward. And that was the genesis of when ATMIA started, was given a consolidated voice to all of you who do this day in and day out. When you think of a collective and you think of taking 10 voices, 20 voices, 40 voices, it's much more powerful than one. Any of us can scream, any of us can yell, any of us can quietly make our point. But when you bring a bunch of people together with a common goal and a common mission of what's best for an industry, to me, that's when change starts. And that's one of our main focuses, is making sure that we are listening to all of you and really focusing in those places where we can help. You all operate in different states. Federally, we're all governed by the same set of laws and rules and regulations. But it is important that when we talk to those who make the laws and make the regulations, that we're very specific and have good purpose as to what our intent will be. And when you do that, I think people listen. And we're thankful for that opportunity when you invite us on here to do some of that. By the same token, when all of us are listening to what's going on around us and we're hearing that there are challenges, whether it be with equipment or we hear security problems, skimming. I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, but ATM Geeks showed an entire skimming plate that had been put on an ATM that they found that they literally pulled right off. It wasn't the card reader this time. It was the entire, pretty scary, the entire faceplate. And we had a webinar the other day about jackpotting, which Cook Solutions, or was it Cook Solutions, Amber? Or who was it that put that on for us?
Let me take myself off mute. Yes, it was Cook Solutions Group.
Talked about the top 10, 12 issues that are happening right now with jackpotting. And we had a good attendance. And we want to share that information because any of us are vulnerable on any given day. Any of us can have our equipment compromised. And we want to make sure and get that information out. And that's what, again, when we have a conference, we bring those experts in to talk about those things that can share and give real life examples. For those of you that are already members, if you're on our IAD committee, which David Tente works on with Billy and with John Campbell and with Tony and a number of others, we bring on the detectives from New York who talk about all the different things that are happening there in the boroughs to give some insight as to what you can be looking for that may happen to you. And unfortunately, criminals don't stop. They work 24/7, 365. I think what we're continuing to do as we look to our mission in 26 is continue to do a lot of the same things, but amp up our ability to provide even more current and timely information to the marketplace for topics that matter to you. That really is the key. Amber and myself, Dana, Britta, David, we can sit around and we can think we know what's going on, but you guys are the ones who are really seeing it every day. When you come across things, let us know. And then we can put something together and try to help.
Great. Why don't we go through and introduce the rest of the team and what you guys do, and then we can talk about the conference.
Sounds great. Amber, you're off mute. You want to go first?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Amber Howell. I'm the senior membership engagement marketing person at ATMIA. Been here 20 years. I don't know, a long time. Still not the expert. As Lottie said, you guys are the expert. We're here to help. But with that part on the membership side, our role with Jacqueline and Erica is to make sure that you guys have access to the resources that you want, the benefits, the education, the connections. We have a lot out there, and I could go into that more, but I think maybe we'll get into that a little bit more later. I won't. We do have a lot of benefits available. And as busy as everyone is, what I always tell our members is use this as a resource. We know what the day to day things get forgotten. I know I forget stuff. Reach out and, hey, I have this problem, or hey, where can I find this? And again, as I said, I'm not the expert, but it's my job to either find the resource or put you in touch with the experts. That's what our role is. A little bit about me.
Thanks, Amber. Dana, I see you popped on.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dana Benson. I'm in charge of the conference and sponsorships overall here at ATMIA. Been around here forever. You've probably all seen me running around the conferences along with my staff, Britta and Eric. I'm in charge of the conferences. And as you know, we have our big one coming up in February. Hopefully you guys are all registered, planning on coming. We've got a great agenda laid out for you, and I'll let David talk about that a little bit more. If you don't know, it's February 10th through the 12th. In Arlington at the new Lowe's. We're super excited. The agenda looks amazing. The exhibit hall is almost full. I only have 6A booths left. I think it's going to be awesome. We've got some new exhibitors, new things going on. We also offer different types of sponsorships. If you guys that go throughout the year, memberships. We offer different things, global and regional sponsors, and I take care of that. We also are offering some different things. If you've been on the website, we've also offered you an opportunity to market through banner ads, webinars. Amber does a great job with those. And we do a newsletter if you want to sponsor newsletters. There's different things that if you want a little bit more exposure to reach out to the industry, we have something that will probably fit your budget, your needs, your goals. Give me a call and I can talk to you about that. And hopefully I will see you all in in Texas this year. This is Florida in a couple of years.
Awesome.
So-
Thank you, Dana. Thank you.
Thanks.
You want to go, David? I see that you're off, and then we'll finish up with Britta.
I'm David Teddy, Executive Director for USA and Americas. For the region, the operations guy to some extent to help coordinate and manage all the committee groups. We do have an ID committee group that meets quarterly, as most of our other committee groups do. And that's one of the unique ones that we do in person as well. If you're planning on coming to the conference in February, we do have an in-person meeting of the ID group, 11 o'clock this year. We changed the time. It's a great opportunity to get together pre-conference and exhibit hall and do some networking with others in the industry. We have a security group that everybody's welcome to join. That is a global committee, and talk about different topics on a quarterly basis, and good input there for everybody. If you'd like to get involved in some of the advocacy stuff, that's a good opportunity for that too. We've got some new things going on with a new relationship with the Troutman Strategies for next year. And a fly-in that's coming up in April. You're welcome to join us. It's open to anybody who wants to participate. As Dana mentioned, the conference coming up has got a lot to offer for everybody. We always have 3 tracks of breakout sessions. There's one for the IEDs, another one for the industry in general, and another one for the financial institutions. We've got, pre-conference opening officially. We've got 4 workshops that are going on. We do that every year as well. If you're interested in outsourcing with some of the financial institutions, a good opportunity to sit in on a session. Brenda Pino with BMO Harris will be managing and moderating that session. The whole idea is to try to get everybody a little more comfortable with FIs are looking for people to do some outsourcing more and more these days. And of course, the independents are looking to do some outsourcing, but don't know how to get started perhaps. It's a great discussion. We've got another one on cash management, session on locks. We've done those now for the last 3 or 4 years. And then a 4th one on creating a layered security for your ATM and other general workshops. It's great. We've got a great keynote coming. She's a veteran, 25 years in the Navy, one of the first female graduates from the Naval Academy. She's going to talk about managing teams in crisis times. And we've had 1 or 2 of those here in the last 5 or 6 years. Any other questions anybody has, I'm happy to answer anytime.
Thank you, David. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
All right, Britta's on camera. Look at that. Let's all go.
No
by
judgment.
line.
I did my workout right before I got on the call. That's why I look a drowned rat.
I haven't shaved in 3 weeks. I'm not shaving. All right, go.
Okay, good.
Hi, everybody. You probably have all met me working the registration desk at the US conference. I have been with ATMIA now for 13 years. I am the global director of events and finance. I'm Dana's right-hand man. I handle all the attendee registrations, and a lot of the communication you receive is from me. That's one of the big things where everybody recognizes, oh, I saw your name come across my computer in the email. Yep, that's from me. You should have read that. Lots of exciting things going on right now. First, most of you know that we did our Super Saver discount that ended in October. Thank you, John, for taking advantage of that rate. Todd did make a post earlier this month regarding client promos that we have shared with our exhibitors and sponsors. So another amazing low rate to register for the conference. And then, of course, we have our regular early bird rates going on right now until January 9th. Two wonderful current options for you if you have not registered. I highly recommend doing that sooner than later. Attendance far this year has been overwhelming, and it's great. We are on track to beat New Orleans, which was our record post-COVID year. We had over 1,100 attendees at that one. If things keep trekking the way they have, I don't think 1,200 is going to be completely out of the question. To be more realistic, I definitely think we'll beat New Orleans at the 1,107 that we had there. So people are very excited about this new venue and different location. We have done Houston, but we haven't done Arlington yet. So it's going to be exciting. And I'll be continuing to harass you until you register or until you tell me that I'm not going to go. So you could stop contacting me. Then I might leave you alone a little bit. But if there's any other questions for me, otherwise I'll hand it back over to Todd.
Thank you, Britta. Thank you for joining. Lonnie, team, why this one? I know Britta mentioned that this looks like it's going to be a big one. I know most people know that the Dallas area is ATM Mecca. You know, we have some big players there. Hyosung Gen Mega, I could go NCR, Cartronics. You could keep going. But what should we expect at the show? What's new? Maybe tell us who we have new for vendors. That's always my favorite part, walking the show floor and talking to vendors. And what do we have to look forward to?
We've got about 8 new exhibitors, and they range from security to some back-end AI stuff. We got a couple AI companies coming in and speakers. I think that'd be interesting. It takes off from what we did last year. If you haven't made your hotel reservations, I suggest you do that right away. Our block usually tends to fill out, and with people registering earlier this year, it's probably going to fill up earlier. So if you could do that, that'd be great. But getting back to the agenda, David already mentioned the various committee meetings that are going on. And then on the first night, the opening reception has started at 6. This year it starts at 5. I don't want you to be late. We did that due to companies wanting to start a little earlier. They could do dinners and receptions, and people wanted to get done earlier. I don't know if that means we're all getting older or if we have different things we want to do. There is that. We have the Emerging Leaders Group and IAD Networking Reception, and that starts right before the opening reception, and that's going to start at 4. And this year we have ATM up sponsoring that. We thank them for that as well. And I also wanted to shout out to the various sponsors that we have. The platinum sponsors are Next ATM and OpConnect. And then we have our diamond sponsors, which are Brink, Cord ATM, Diebold Nixdorf, Hyosung, NCR, Ventus, and then gold would be Euronet and Sesame. So they're all going to be there. Some people are bringing a lot of people, so you'll definitely have a lot of people to talk to. Along with your hotel and your registration, make sure you watch out for the email that we send out about a week out. You can make appointments with the exhibitors, so you don't have to wait till you get there to go find them. Cool. You can meet with the exhibitors. You can check off the exhibitors you want to specifically meet, and then they will contact you back directly to whoever would need to talk with you. So it's a really neat program where you don't have to wait till you get there. Don't forget to download the app so you can talk to people, see what we're doing, get notifications at the event. Hey, so-and-so sponsoring this, come over here, we're doing that. So there's a lot going on always, and we try to keep you informed. So definitely we're looking forward to seeing everybody.
The app is really cool. I discovered that about 2 years ago, and you guys have had it much longer than 2 years ago. Definitely very helpful to see what's going on and who's there and everything. It's definitely a great tool. So for the people that are going, definitely download the app.
We try to stay on top of that. I'll turn it over to Amber or David if they wanted to say anything about what they're doing or anything that I forgot or wanted to highlight.
We're also having an espresso coffee bar barista at the Switch booth. Is that correct, Dana? So made to order coffee. so that you can get the Starbucks out of the urn if you want. But if you want a made to order Americano or espresso, I'll tell you, it's going to be the highlight in places as a place to meet and network. People love coffee and they love to talk. So eye
Awesome.
out for that.
Somebody want to talk about the venue? I've never been, I don't think I've ever been to Dallas. Is it
Brand
new
new.
for ATMIA, but is it
It's
also a new hotel?
It's a brand new hotel. If you've been to Arlington, if you've been to where the Cowboy Stadium is, it overlooks the stadium. You could walk to the stadium from there.
Awesome.
There's another Lowe's that's attached to it. There's a big venue if you wanted to go out for dinner. It's got some fun different bars and restaurants. The hotel is brand new. I actually toured it on a hard hat tour, which means it was being built. That was fun. And got to go back last year when it opened and got to see it. It's a great facility, easy to get around, not a ton of walking. You think Vegas or anything, but it's a nice big facility. Then we will send out some things before you go, an email that will come out from Britta or myself that will give you links and a QR code that you can find out different things to do in the area. There's an Armed Forces museum that opened over there if you're a buff. It's a really good museum. The live area, it's outside where you can watch sporting goods. It's outside and inside. There's a lot of things going on in that area. It's only 15, 20 minutes from super close, generally located. It's a great venue.
Only customer friendly. I love Lowe's. Very customer friendly.
We pretty much take over the whole hotel. You'll run into people all the time.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I assume the weather's pretty good in Dallas in February, right?
70s.
Good.
We're
All
hoping.
right. Awesome. Awesome.
So it should be nice.
Lonnie, I know every time we meet, this is getting a little bit away from the conferences. I mentioned that I was going to ask you this question is still sometimes when we talk to people in the retail ATM world, they shrug their shoulder and say, oh, ATMIA, that's for bank ATM. And I know you've addressed it several times, but tell us how that's not true.
First of all, I'd always love for someone to call me and tell me why they think that. What is the reason they think that? Because to your point, Todd, when we hear that, we're all open to say, give me an example of why you think that. I'm going to ask Amber to tell you exactly how many FIs we have as members and how many IEDs we have as members. Amber, can you please share real quickly? And then I'm going to finish answering your question, Todd.
Let me bring it up here. We have independent deployers, which is this group. We have 113 member companies, and we have about 75 banks. Definitely more the independent deployers, and this is globally. The independent deployers, definitely for the US, that is our largest membership base.
Thank you.
And thank you, Amber. And what happened was a number of years ago, there was some tension, I would call it, between different people, different personalities. I don't know about any of you, but I can't really remember what I did 12 minutes ago, what I did 12 years ago or 14 years ago. If anyone's holding on to something from 14 years ago, that's a long time to hold on to something. What I'm saying is, check us out, ask us. We are here for the industry. And guess what? The industry is made up of a lot of different players that support the cash industry, that support the payments industry, that supports hardware, software, retail. It's no different than whoever you use as your hardware provider, whoever you use as your software provider, whoever you use for your cash in transit. Would you not want to have access to the largest possible group you could in order to make sure you're getting the best service, the best companies to service you? I would want to have a lot of options. And the banks, they push a certain agenda for what they have to do. And they help push some of the hardware providers to make changes quicker. Now, what we can help do is with your voices and us, we can push them as well. We can let them know what it is you guys want, that we can help. But Todd, I wasn't around during that time. Whatever anyone was holding on to or whatever they think, I would love for you to give them my personal cell phone. It's on my email, and I'd love for them to call me and tell me why they think that. Amber and I, Britta and I were at the NAT conference, and we came across a member that left us during COVID, and he was upset. And we asked him, why? What's wrong? And he told us. And at that moment, we said, we can't fix 2020, but what can we do to help you now? And it's up to you. We're not expecting you to rejoin. We're not expecting you to come to the conference, but we sure would like you to reconsider if we'll admit that we made a mistake. And if we'll admit to say, we want to make things better. If someone's holding on to something and why they think that, we're happy to listen and we're happy to make any changes we can within the reasonable business model for sure.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I know, Lonnie, I know you've been working hard to build bridges in the last couple of years, and I think that's great because unfortunately we're too small of an industry to not have bridges. Let's talk a little bit about where things stand in regulatory and compliance. I know New York passed a Payment Choice Act. What other areas is that working on, and where some of those things stand now?
I'll let David. Dave, you want to jump in and talk about some of those things that are going on?
Sure. I did see that note on New York. I was a little puzzled as to why that took so long to get signed off on, because that was passed by their legislature back in May, and the governor signed it, maybe was it last week? But very recently. Certainly, this consumer payment choice has been one of the main things we've been concerned about and working on very hard, both at the state level where we can and even aggressively at the federal level too. I think that makes 10 states now that have payment choice acts or cash acceptance laws on the books. This year, I think it was 27 or something initially that proposed those types of bills, except for New York. None of them made very much progress. The other thing is the crime bill. We've been working very closely with the American Bankers Association on that. They got started advocacy back in 2017. A lot of people don't realize that. Their banks have issues with the current law as well, because a lot of those ATMs aren't within the interior space of the bank and maybe not considered robbery, and it's very difficult. They have the same issues with prosecuting crime that all of us do. We're very happy. Everybody seems to think that we've got a good chance at getting that bill passed probably in the next year, the second year of this session. Still, there's so much going on with the potential government shutdown right now that unfortunately some of the bills that we're interested in tend to lose focus for a bit, but we do see a lot of support for it, not only on the ABA side, but our industry is very strongly behind it. We think that we've got pretty good bipartisan support now, both in the Senate and in Congress. Cross our fingers and work. And that's one of the things we'll be talking about in April when we go in for our fly-in. Along the way, there's been a lot of other types of regulations and things supporting ATMs that we've been involved with. And when we hear things coming up, even locally or statewide, we try to get involved in as much of that as we can. We were glad to see President Trump's executive order about banking and the fact that the banks, no one should be using reputational risk as a consideration for creditworthiness. So that's another little piece of this puzzle that we've been involved with quite a bit as well. Were there any other particular issues you were thinking of, Todd?
David, that's a real good point. We signed up with, and thanks to Salad ATM Up, First Sentinel Bank is now a member of ATMIA, and they are a ATM industry friendly bank, along with Security First and a few others that are members, and Prosperity. And again, very important point David makes is even though the executive order was signed, banks still can choose to open accounts or not open accounts. That is their choice. I was a banker for 35 years, and the bank that I worked at, we banked cannabis, we banked C-stores, we banked ATMs, we banked check cashers, we banked all of them because we saw the opportunity and we wanted to fulfill our mission, which was to open bank accounts for businesses in our community. So that's huge. And that's the other reason also why we signed on with Troutman Strategies, so that we could have boots on the ground in DC pushing forward on some of this legislation. We had been using stateside for a number of years, and it was a positive opportunity for the states. And David got a lot of good information from that. But we made the choice to say, let's put boots on the ground in DC to try to push some of this federal legislation through. It's that important to us. And we're spending more money doing that. We're okay with that.
I know this doesn't really have to do with regulation, Lonnie, but I know you're pretty close to it. What do you think that the reclassification of marijuana at the federal level is going to do to it has in the last couple of years become a big part of our business?
I don't think in the short term it's going to do anything. They've been talking about it for so long. The reality is, for the ATM industry and the banking industry, until it is completely made legal federally, banks, regardless of the scheduling, banks are not going to touch opening those accounts. What does that mean? That means that all the peripherals to bank, credit cards, the credit card rails, they're not going to allow processing. They may allow it for a day or two, then they find out about it and they shut it down, right? Because it's still illegal. It's still an illegal substance. It happens to be a lower schedule, but I don't see it all of a sudden everybody. Hemp was made legal by the USDA in 2018. If you know anybody who's in the hemp business, ask them if they can get a bank account 8 years, soon to be 8 years later. No. Why? Because they didn't make banking more accessible when they made it legal. It's all different kinds of regulations. Will it help the cannabis dispensaries and the owners of the cannabis business? I think it will. I think they said they'll get some relief for 280E taxes and some expense situations and possibly able to get more investors. But as far as everyone else, I still believe that for today and for the foreseeable future, walking into a dispensary, cash is the first and most accepted and the easiest form of payment. Having an ATM there in that dispensary provides that opportunity. That's my thought. We frozen?
I think we might have. Looks like he maybe dropped off.
Todd must have froze up.
While we're waiting for him to get back on, great mention on First Sentinel Bank and the other banks that are friendly banking for ATM industry. Wanted to remind, again, we have a lot to offer for our members on the call. That is available in our member directories. If you're looking at have an issue, got dropped, we do hear that quite a bit. Reach out or look in the member directory. We do have ATM friendly banking options out there that you have the direct contact to, a way to get a hold of. I wanted to mention that.
Todd's back. Yay.
Yes. You know what? We lose our internet once a day for 5 minutes in the shop. And I always pray that it doesn't happen during these calls, but I'm on my phone right now. We'll see how long that lasts. But yes, thank you for that, Lonnie, with the marijuana. I know I'm skipping around a little bit. I know, Dana, you mentioned it. Can you talk about some of the speakers that we can see at the show? I know you mentioned, and I forgot her name. She was the pilot or the first Navy graduate.
David, do you want to talk about the agenda? You had a lot to do with that.
Terry, Mary C. Kelly is the pilot's name. And we've got a conversation with her set up next
Early January to set it. We meet with all of our keynotes so that we give them an idea of our audience and who we are, and they can tailor it towards our audience.
Look at the videos of all the speakers we're considering. She's a great speaker, knows a lot about our industry too, the banking industry. After her service, went out and got a PhD in economics. Bright, very good speaker, and good material that our audience will enjoy there too. We've got the major suppliers out there in a lot of our sessions. We've got the breakout sessions, which are track-oriented, good folks there at NCR, Hyosung, Diebold, Nextdoor. The other hardware providers are there with different sessions. We've got a couple of sessions on the supercomputer, which is our theme this year, the supercomputer facilitating market convergence, which is a new term for a lot of folks. I ran across that in some Federal Reserve research earlier this year, putting some things together for a speaking engagement that I had, and found out that there was such a thing. The Fed actually coined that. The whole idea of it is to start really shrinking the differences between banking ATMs and retail ATMs, because we've got so many branches that are closing and creation of banking deserts, one of the terms they use in rural areas and low-income areas, which means that the ATM might not look that much different than what's out there today, but we're seeing more and more folks on the retail side getting involved in recycling, which is the first step to some of this, because that opens up deposit taking. Not only consumers, but small businesses can come into a retail establishment, deposit, perhaps even make a transaction, transfer money. A lot of these different, more sophisticated transactions that we're not used to seeing, for example, in a C-store. 7-Eleven's probably been some of the the leaders in that and offering different types of transactions to their customers. But we're going to see more and more there. Topics out there that you might not think, types of security precautions and layers that you can get involved with your ATMs. We've got a bunch of lock providers that are doing some good sessions, as well as the workshop that's going on out there too. A lot of different variety, pretty much anything you want to hear about. The agenda's on the website. Anybody can take a look at that and see. I encourage people, when you go to a session, make some notes and tell us what you think, because we like that feedback. And we try to get a report at the end of the conference on which sessions were the best reaction they're getting from the attendees. The better sections are always pretty full. The seat for about 200, and usually they're pretty full in those sessions. A lot of good material, and it's all educational. It can't be a big commercial for your product. It's got to help people learn something.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Britta, I'm going to toss the next question to you. If we haven't signed up yet, what are the different paths and the best deal, and how do we go about getting signed up to go to the show?
Absolutely. I had already mentioned about the client promo deal. If you take a look at our exhibitor and sponsor page, there's a list of all the exhibitors and sponsors listed right there. Reach out to your salesperson at any of those companies. They each have a unique link that they are supposed to be sending out to all their clients and customers. A full conference pass is only going to cost you $575, or an exhibit hall pass is only going to be $375 if you go through them. If you choose to hold off, because that's only good until December 30th. If you decide to hold off until after and take advantage of the early bird rate, you can certainly take advantage of the new attendee special, which is $555 right now for early bird. The member rate is $630 right now. And as a member, the more people from your organization that register at the same time, the price decreases $50 per additional person, up to 4 people. The non-member full conference rate is going to be $1,630, but we also have our bundle and save option, which is going to be $1,460. The bundle and save would be a full conference pass and includes an associate membership. If you don't have a membership already, that is an awesome opportunity to get your membership and a conference pass for a low. And then, of course, our exhibit hall only pass, which seems to be the most popular right now for members, it's $375. And for non-members, it's $450. And again, those prices are good for early bird until January 9th. And then there is another price increase. I highly, highly recommend registering sooner than later. Your lowest price option is going to be to go through your providers to get that discount that they have available to them.
Awesome. We'll open it up. Does anybody have any questions for Lonnie or his team?
Todd, I do, which is this idea of providing recycle-capable ATMs at retail establishments can push IEDs into a problem of becoming needing to get a license for, for that, taking checks, for instance.
An MSB.
MSBs, yeah, thanks, I couldn't remember the term. And one way to avoid an MSB is to become an agent of an MSB. What kind of resources can ATMIA provide to help those IIDs who are interested but don't want to become an MSB?
Along those lines, Jay, if it's deposit taking only via cash, then I don't think you become a money service. It's only if you would accept checks too, correct?
I think taking cash makes you a money transmitter.
On
You
the
don't know the
recycling
source of
part, I'm not,
funds.
we'll double check that, because I thought for cash within the same machine for use of what's already in the machine and replenishing, but we'll double check that. But we've got a great relationship with the MSB Society Association. I think her name's Karen. We can work with her to get some additional information and resources. Obviously, to your point, if you move into a new realm, that it puts you into a different classification, the compliance components are much more stringent and much stronger. But let us do a little research on that and see what we could find out. And David, I see he's on mic now. He may be able to have a few other comments.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I know if you're doing check cashing or sending wires or things like that, there is a requirement for an MSB license. I'm not sure where the cutoff is of taking a deposit, for example. for a bank that you're working with puts you into that category or not. As Lonnie said, we'll have to look into that a little bit further.
I know Bill's on the call here. Did you mention you were working on something with that? Does anybody else
That's-
have any questions?
We'll definitely get some information on that for you, Jay, though, because
No, I
I think,
appreciate that.
again,
No, that's
again, if we're going to move into the realm of super ATMs, which we are, and we want to make sure that the information's out there as to what you can expect. I think from the standpoint of the opportunities, having lived in New Mexico for almost 20 years, I will tell you that the number of small towns of these banking deserts that David talks about, where the only way to get cash is through an ATM, almost outnumbers the number of places of big cities in New Mexico where there were actually banks. We were very successful in placing ATMs around the state, specifically in the Permian Basin, where the roughneckers would come in. They had their checks that had been deposited, but they couldn't get to a bank. So they blew up our ATM getting cash. We knew when that was going to happen, typically every 2 weeks or every 10 days. I think moving into a realm where additional services within the regulation framework provides big
Yeah,
opportunity, but big compliance possibly.
we
If you
we
could
see the
post an
banking
update.
deserts in our area too, in some of the low income neighborhoods. In the city next to me, there's an area, there's no banks for a mile in any direction. It's a continuous fight for a bank to open up in that area. Jay, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes.
No, I would also point out that my route's in New York City, and some of our best locations are lower economic areas, which could also be considered banking deserts. I have routes in a lot of different locations in Brooklyn, and there are banking deserts right there. The big cities also have that. I think a lot of IADs would be interested in pursuing more opportunities, but I do think it's concerning that you don't end up being turned into an MSB, pursue that. This agent solution does seem to be the best solution for a lot of IADs, especially ones who aren't so large as to be able to support it internally. Lonnie, if you could post what you find within our group,
Sure,
I think it would gain a lot of interest.
totally.
I think some of the other issues that we end up with is on the banking side. Lonnie obviously comes from that. It's the more we tend to do, the less a bank wants to deal with us. That's what I've seen. Because obviously we're always getting our, how many machines do you have? Where are they located? What are the functionality of your machines? And as soon as you start deviating off of pure dispensing of cash, the red flags start flying up all over the place. And I guess that's an area that we need a lot more of your help with.
Fear
Yeah,
of debanking.
It's very upsetting to me personally, having been a banker and having opened accounts and been able to manage all of those situations. That the challenge is it becomes more work for the bank, which banks don't want more work. They're lazy. They want vanilla, easy stuff. They want checking accounts and savings accounts because they don't have to worry about that. They can set up a program to monitor and be done with it. At the end of the day, compliance and business is business. We will continue to push for not allowing, because you don't have a business doesn't mean you can't bank it.
Interesting enough, one of my better locations is a check cashing location. He has a MSB license in Massachusetts, and he seems to have more banking options than I do. That's tells you how the banks like us. Any other questions? Does anybody
I
else have
think what
any?
I've found with some of my banks was when you're an MSB, then you're registered with Treasury. So there's a little bit more, even though it's something that we avoid, it's taking cash to Royal. We absolutely hate it. We know the path that's going to put us down. But for some banks, they look at it, if you're registered and we have a program to deal with MSBs, we're cookie cutter. Everything's cookie cutter. If we fit into a box, everybody loves us. The minute we don't fit
Right.
into their box,
Yeah.
we're hated.
100%.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous. And I could go on, but I feel for you. And it makes me sad, honestly, because for 8 years, I made it my mission. I opened every cannabis dispensary in New Mexico was at our bank. Every MSB was at our bank. Every ATM operator was at our bank. You name it, anything that had to do with what they didn't like. And to be perfectly honest, we always passed our exams. Our lending function had more problems than we did. We were fine.
Right. Well, I know we're coming up on the top of the hour. Lonnie, Britta, Amber, Dave, Dana, really appreciate you guys joining us and giving us an idea of what to expect at the show. I know I tell the other admins and moderators, you guys make us look good, that you're willing to accept us and come on. I appreciate that. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing everybody in Arlington.
Texas, not Virginia. We had someone trying to book to a hotel in Virginia.
Oh.
No, this one's in Texas. Thanks a lot, Todd. And thanks to the team and to all of you guys for what you do. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Merry Christmas.
Thanks, everyone.
Merry
See you in a
Christmas.
month.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Merry Christmas.